You know, there are stories that change you forever. Stories that make you question everything you thought you knew about family, love, and survival. Today, I'm sharing one of the most heartbreaking yet inspiring stories I've ever encountered on Reddit. It's about a woman who faced the unthinkable and lived to tell about it. But be warned, this story contains some difficult themes, so please take care of yourself while listening. It starts like so many stories do, with a normal childhood that wasn't normal at all. She was 5 years old when they first wrapped the hijab around her small head. Just 5. Most kids that age are worried about which cartoon to watch or what toy to play with. But for her, childhood meant learning to cover herself, learning to be invisible, learning that her worth was measured by how well she could disappear. By 11, the hijab wasn't enough anymore. The niqab came next, then the burqa. Picture this, an 11-year-old girl, completely covered, driven to and from school every single day, never allowed to make friends, never allowed to just be a kid. Her world became smaller and smaller, limited to her immediate family and the people at their local mosque. But here's the thing about the human spirit, it finds a way to hope even in the darkest places. She was brilliant in school. Absolutely brilliant. While other kids were struggling with basic concepts, she was excelling, dreaming of a future that seemed impossible from where she sat. Those grades became her lifeline, though she didn't know it yet. At 18, when most teenagers are planning for college, planning their futures, her life took a devastating turn. School was over, and with it her last connection to the outside world. Her father sat her down and explained her new reality. Marriage. That was her future. Marriage to someone chosen for her, and until that day came, she wouldn't be leaving the house. Not for anything that wasn't absolutely necessary. Can you imagine being 18 and being told your life is essentially over? That everything you dreamed of, everything you'd worked for, meant nothing? For 2 months, she didn't leave that house. Not once. 2 months of staring at the same walls, breathing the same recycled air, feeling her dreams slip away one day at a time. But brilliant minds don't just accept defeat. They find solutions. And late at night, when the house was quiet and her family was asleep, she would creep downstairs to the family computer. University applications. That's what she was working on. Page after page, form after form, quietly building her escape route while everyone slept. She was so careful, so methodical. But sometimes, being human means making human mistakes. One night, she forgot to close a browser tab. Just one little tab, but it might as well have been a smoking gun when her older brother found it the next morning. The confrontation came swift and brutal. She tried to play dumb, tried to deny it, but they all knew. Her father's rage was something she'd never seen before. This wasn't just anger, this was betrayal of the highest order in their eyes. In their world, what she had done was unforgivable. November 2016. Remember that date, because it's the night a daughter died in her family's eyes, and a survivor was born. Her father, her uncle, her brothers, the men who were supposed to protect her, made a decision that no parent should ever make. They decided she had to die. The beating was savage. Fists, hands around her throat, the taste of her own blood filling her mouth. They strangled her until her world went black, until her body went limp, until they were convinced they had succeeded in their horrific mission. Her own family believed they had murdered their daughter, their sister, for the crime of wanting an education. But here's where the story takes a turn that still gives me chills. She wasn't dead, barely alive, head trauma that would affect her for the rest of her life, but alive. And in those crucial moments, while her attackers stood over what they thought was her corpse, she made a choice that saved her life. She played dead. Can you imagine the strength that took? Lying in a pool of your own blood, every part of your body screaming in pain, listening to the people who raised you discuss where to bury your body? They were planning to dig her grave in the backyard. Her own family was going to bury her like she never existed. But survival instincts are powerful. When they went outside to dig that grave, she found strength she didn't know she had. Barely able to see through swollen eyes, fighting against injuries that should have kept her down, she escaped. A local shop became her sanctuary, and the employees there became her first real heroes in years. The police gave her something she'd never had before, a new identity. A chance to truly disappear from the people who wanted her dead. And then, in what seems like a miracle, news came that would change everything. She'd been accepted to university. She was going to be a doctor. The trial was a revelation of just how fractured her family had become. Her mother, the woman who had raised her, who had shown her small kindnesses in a world of control, testified against her father. But only her father. The uncle who helped plan her murder, the brothers who helped carry it out, they all walked free. Only her father received a life sentence. 9 years. It's been almost 9 years since that November night, and she's built a life that would make anyone proud. She's a doctor now, saving lives instead of losing her own. She's married to a man who loves and supports her completely. They have a 2-year-old daughter together. She owns her home. She has a family who chose her rather than one she was born into. By every measure, she's living the dream life. But here's where this story becomes even more heartbreaking. Because success doesn't erase trauma, and freedom doesn't automatically heal wounds. She still looks at their social media. Can you believe that? The people who tried to murder her, she still checks up on them online. She sees her brothers with their wives, their children. She sees her mother in family photos, smiling and happy. And instead of feeling anger or hatred, she feels loss. She misses them. This brilliant, strong woman who survived the unthinkable, who built a beautiful life from nothing, still has nights where she cries because she misses the family that tried to kill her. She said something that just breaks your heart. I may be a different person now, but deep down I am still a person who misses her mommy. She's never told her therapist about these feelings. She's never told her husband. She's ashamed that she still cares about people who showed her such cruelty. But what she doesn't understand is that this reaction is completely normal. It's human. It's what makes her the compassionate person she became. You see, she doesn't miss the people who hurt her. She misses the idea of family. She misses what could have been. She misses the mother who sometimes advocated for small freedoms, who brought her books and makeup in a world where such things were forbidden. She misses the brothers who played with her before ideology turned them into monsters. The most tragic part? She considers reaching out sometimes. This woman who has everything to lose, a husband who adores her, a daughter who needs her, a successful career, sometimes thinks about contacting the mother who let her sons attempt murder. But she never does. Because deep down, she knows that some bridges aren't just burned, they're obliterated. The people who tried to bury her in their backyard aren't people she can ever safely know again. They've moved on, posting pictures of their perfect families, while she's left to mourn a family that never really existed. Her story doesn't end with revenge or justice served. Her uncle is dead now. She saw his memorial post on her mother's Facebook. Her brothers are free, raising their own daughters in the same oppressive environment that nearly killed their sister. The cycle continues while she watches from a distance, successful but forever separated from her origins. What makes this story so powerful isn't just the survival, it's the complexity of human emotion that comes after. It's the fact that love doesn't just disappear because someone hurts you. It's the reality that you can hate what someone did to you while still missing who they were before they did it. She's not alone in feeling this way. Thousands of comments poured in from people who understood her pain, who had walked similar paths. Survivors of abuse who missed their abusers. People who had to cut ties with toxic families but still mourned the relationships they'd lost. One commenter said something profound: "You don't still love them, you love the people you thought they were." Another pointed out that missing them is a form of grief. She's mourning not just the family she lost, but the family she never really had. The beautiful thing is that she's not actually alone. She has a husband who loves her unconditionally. She has a daughter who represents the end of generational trauma. She has in-laws who treat her like their own child. She's built a chosen family that's everything her birth family wasn't: supportive, loving, safe. But the human heart is complicated. Even surrounded by love, she sometimes feels that ache for the mother who failed to protect her, for the brothers who chose tradition over their sister's life, for a father serving life in prison for trying to take hers. Her story raises so many questions about family, about forgiveness, about the long journey of healing from trauma. How do you reconcile love with betrayal? How do you move forward when the people who were supposed to protect you became the people you needed protection from? She mentions that she keeps track of honor killings around the world, finding some comfort in knowing she's not alone in her experience. But she also admits she's not ready to go public with her story, to become an advocate for others in similar situations. She just wants to be normal, to protect the beautiful life she's built. And that's her right. Survival doesn't come with an obligation to save others. Sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is simply live well, love fully, and break the cycle for the next generation. Her 2-year-old daughter will grow up knowing safety, knowing choice, knowing that she's valued for who she is rather than how well she disappears. The story could end there, with a survivor building a better life. But there's more to consider. Somewhere out there, her brothers are raising daughters of their own. Will those little girls face the same fate their aunt barely escaped? The thought haunts her, but she's made peace with the fact that she can't save everyone. Sometimes, saving yourself is enough. Her mother's testimony saved her father from walking free, but it couldn't save their relationship. Some betrayals cut too deep. Some trust once broken can never be repaired. Even mothers who show small kindnesses in oppressive systems still bear responsibility when they fail to protect their children when it matters most. What strikes me most about her story is the grace she shows her attackers. She understands her mother was also oppressed, also controlled. She recognizes that her brothers were raised in the same toxic system that nearly killed her. She doesn't excuse their actions, but she doesn't let hatred consume her either. Instead, she chose healing. She chose therapy, education, love, family. She chose to build rather than destroy, to nurture rather than harm. She chose to be the mother to her daughter that her own mother couldn't be to her. But healing isn't linear, and trauma doesn't follow timelines. 9 years later, she still has bad days. 9 years later, she still struggles with complex feelings about people who showed her the worst kind of betrayal. And that's okay. That's human. The most heartbreaking part might be that she feels she can't share these feelings with her therapist or husband. She's ashamed of missing people who tried to kill her. But shame has no place in this story. What she feels is normal, natural, and nothing to be embarrassed about. Her survival wasn't just physical, it was emotional, psychological, spiritual. She didn't just escape death, she escaped a life that would have been a slow death of the soul. Every day she lives freely, every choice she makes for herself, every moment she spends with people who truly love her, these are victories over the people who tried to erase her. If she's listening to this, I want her to know something. Your feelings don't make you weak. Missing them doesn't mean you're not healed. Wanting what you never had doesn't mean you're ungrateful for what you do have. You're human, and being human means feeling complicated things about complicated people. Your story matters. Your survival matters. The life you've built matters. The daughter you're raising in freedom matters. You've already changed the world by refusing to let them bury your dreams along with your body. The people commenting on her post said it better than I ever could. Thousands of strangers sending love to someone they'll never meet, but whose courage inspired them. Survivors sharing their own stories, letting her know she's not alone. People who understood that healing doesn't mean forgetting, and strength doesn't mean never missing what you've lost. Her story is still being written. Every day she chooses healing over hatred, love over bitterness, hope over despair. She's writing a new chapter. Her daughter will grow up reading this story not as a cautionary tale, but as proof that people can survive anything and still choose kindness. To everyone listening, her story reminds us that families aren't just the people we're born to, they're the people who choose to love and support us. They're the people who celebrate our successes instead of trying to bury our dreams. They're the people who see our worth beyond what we can provide for them. If you know someone in a situation like this, be their safe place. Be the shopkeeper who calls police. Be the university that accepts their application. Be the therapist who listens without judgment. Be the husband who loves without condition. Be the family that chooses them back. Her story also reminds us that healing is possible, but it's not a destination, it's a journey. Some days are harder than others. Some wounds take longer to heal than others. Some feelings don't make logical sense but are valid nonetheless. The most beautiful part of her story isn't that she survived, though that's miraculous. It's that she chose to live, not just exist. She chose to love, not just endure. She chose to build a family based on mutual respect and genuine affection, not control and fear. 9 years later, she's not the scared 18-year-old researching universities in secret. She's not the broken young woman lying in her own blood. She's not the frightened survivor hiding behind a new identity. She's a doctor, a wife, a mother, a homeowner, a woman who chose her own path despite everyone who tried to bury that path along with her. But she's also still someone who misses her mommy sometimes. And that's okay too. What would you do in her situation? Have you ever had to cut ties with family members for your own safety? Have you ever missed people who hurt you? Let me know in the comments below. And remember, you're not alone in whatever complicated feelings you might have about the people in your life. If this story moved you like it moved me, please consider subscribing for more real stories from real people who've overcome incredible odds. These stories matter because they remind us that survival is possible, healing is real, and sometimes the families we choose are stronger than the ones we're born into. Thank you for listening, and remember, your story matters too.